Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of Dynasty Fantasy Football content. This time, I'm bringing you 4 Dynasty stashes. Let's jump into the first one. Jaleel McLaughlin. So, he was actually really solid in limited opportunities in 2023, where he had 76 carries for 410 yards and a touchdown, and an impressive 31 catches for 160 yards, 2 touchdowns to the air. 5.4 yards per carry, which is really nice. The Broncos this offseason can cut Samaje Perine and save $3 million. Javonte Williams, we know, has kind of had an up and down injury plagued career through 3 years. He wasn't nearly as efficient as McLaughlin in 2023. The Broncos have no cap space due to the Russell Wilson mess, and they also have no second round pick from the Sean Payton trade. So the odds that they bring in a high profile running back are essentially zero. They can't do that. The backfield will contain Williams, McLaughlin, and either Perine or another low-profile free agent or a day 3 pick as RB3. So McLaughlin's going to have every opportunity to build on his 2023 rookie campaign. And currently, you can find him in DLF Superflex ADP at RB53, 181.5 overall. He's rostered, of course, in every Dynasty league, but if you can have him as a throw-in on a trade, he's the kind of throw-in I want who has the opportunity to gain value later. Next one, Darnell Washington. Now, it's been a running joke that the Arthur Smith hiring is good for Washington. I feel like that's been talked about a lot. But I didn't hate Washington coming into the NFL. 6'7", 264 pounds. What's not to like about that? And in his last year at Georgia, well, of course, he was overshadowed by Brock Bowers. He had 28 catches, 454 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's not bad for a college tight end, especially with a lot of other good weapons in the offense. However, he landed in a bad offense on the Steelers and in a bad spot behind Pat Freiermuth, who's kind of a do-it-all tight end. Pat Freiermuth doesn't need to leave the field. So it didn't leave a lot of opportunity for Washington to play as a rookie. He did almost nothing. He had 7 catches for 61 yards as a rookie. That's it. But he did have some playing time. He ranged from a 45 to 65% snap share in most games. So he was on the field, which is good because now Arthur Smith is here. And we know that Arthur Smith, even if it's the wrong way to play, is addicted to 12 personnel and loves massive tight ends who can block like Jonnu Smith. Again. So I do think he'll get Darnell Washington involved. Pat Freiermuth is a free agent after 2024. So there's a chance for Washington to earn this job long-term if he plays well and breaks out. His current DLF Superflex ADP, tight end 40, 279 overall, way down there. So he might have even been dropped in your league. If he was dropped, I would probably add him off waivers. Now, if you like what we're doing here, of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And let's jump into the next player. Kendrick Bourne. Now, I think Bourne's breakout 2023 campaign kind of lost in the whole Patriots meltdown. He had 37 catches for 406 yards and 4 touchdowns in just 8 games, including the one where he tore his ACL. So even including that game, you can see it there. He had a great start to the season and averaged a career high 4.6 catches and 50.8 yards per game, which is actually pretty good. He was the Patriots wide receiver 1 during that time, very clearly. He's a free agent in 2024, and I do expect him to get interest on the market, assuming he's mostly healthy and will be ready to play week 1. He turns just 29 years old in August. He could return to the Patriots. Either way, he could provide spot value for someone who isn't even on the radar in most Dynasty leagues. Now, over the next few months, he could have been on injured reserve, right? He was injured. You can put him on injured reserve in season. As IRs are cleared out over the next few months, I expect to see Bourne cut in some Dynasty leagues. At that point, I would pick him up because literally he has no ADP at all. He's completely off the radar. I really think people forgot that Kendrick Bourne was productive earlier in the season. I don't think people remember that. So he's someone I would add and then, see if he gives you some spot value. You never know. Injuries happen. You need spot value on your team. Spot starts. And he's the price of free. So I would be interested in picking up Kendrick Bourne. Last one. And this one, I feel like we're not going to like this, but it's okay. Mac Jones. He was awful in 2023. Plain and simple. Awful. 64.9% completion. Now, that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. 10 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. That's bad. 6.1 yards per attempt is horrific. That's really bad. So he was just terrible. But I think we're forgetting that Mac Jones was a rookie in 2021, a first-round pick, and he came in and was good. 67.6% completion. That's really good. 22 touchdowns for 13 interceptions. For a rookie, that's good. That's good. Look at what Bryce Young did this year. I mean, that's really good. 7.3 yards per attempt for a rookie? That's really good. Bryce Young was in the 5s this year. Mac Jones had an excellent rookie year. We cannot just delete that. Then 2022, I think 2022 is more similar to what he really is. 65.2% completion, 14 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, 6.8 yards per attempt. This is a low-end starter, starting quarterback, 25 to 30. I think this is the most accurate of the 3 years. But even if that's the most accurate and came in a horrible offense with no surrounding weapons, that means that he's a decent quarterback. Now, the Patriots are not going to pick up his 2025 fifth-year option. Of course not. I expect them to draft Jaden Daniels at 3. If they do, you can't have Daniels and Jones cannot run the same universe of an offense. That's not possible. So I don't think Jones makes much sense for them to retain as a backup QB for one last year. I think they're going to trade him away, and I do think he has some value. Not as much as, other players, but Sam Darnold was almost worse in 3 years on the Jets and still fetched a second-round pick in return. So I think Mac Jones even has more hope than Darnold did after 3 years in a bad offense, kind of similar situation. I don't think he's going to go anywhere as a clear starter, but I do think he makes sense as a reclamation project in Denver, who's desperate for a new quarterback. Or in Minnesota, if they lose Kirk Cousins, they're kind of going to be tapped for money. Or in Atlanta as an option to compete and see what happens. Mac Jones is not Zach Wilson. He's not a total bust. He's a decent quarterback who can succeed in the right situation, but not in the disaster he was in. And he's the type of player to roster in Superflex leagues forever because he has value, even as a backup. Think of Sam Darnold in San Francisco. He has value. Brock Purdy never got hurt, but if he did, Darnold would have been playable immediately. Jones's Superflex ADP is just too low. Quarterback 38 is too low. He's not the 38th best quarterback in the league. He's better than that. And 202 overall, again, too low. It's just quarterbacks with starting level talent of any kind should not be outside the top 200 in Superflex ADP. Still have guys like Jimmy Garoppolo and Jameis Winston inside my top 200 rankings. So it's kind of my take on stashing Mac Jones. Now, if you like the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That's how you support the channel directly. Additionally, sign up for the Patreon. You can find it up there at patreon.com/fantasy advice. I've gotten a few new patrons lately. You get my full ranks, Dynasty ranks, rookie ranks this time of year, redraft ranks as we get into July and August, start sit ranks weekly during the season. So you get all of these ranks, access to the Discord where we talk about, fantasy, whatever we want to talk about, Dynasty questions, all that. And also where patrons can submit questions for the Patreon, questions, and I read them on the videos. And then, of course, you have the DM fantasy advice where you can ask me fantasy questions in DMs, and I will help you build a winning Dynasty or redraft roster or whatever you like. Now, I only have a couple of Patreon questions this time, and you'll notice there's a theme, but I read the questions that I'm asked. So these were what I was asked. How do you feel about Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh? Does he help Najee and Warren? I don't think that they saw the video I did yet on Wednesday about Arthur Smith, where I did a 5-minute segment, but I did cover it extensively there. However, I don't think we can fairly predict which of Najee and Warren it will help. There's no comparison between Bijan and Algier to Najee and Warren. Can't do a comparison there. But what I think we can expect is there will be another committee. It's not going to be Najee gets 90% or Warren gets 90%. That isn't going to happen. It's going to be a committee. And Smith has a perfect excuse. Arthur Smith has a perfect excuse to use a committee here. This is a backfield that worked well as a committee. It should be a committee. It's going to stay a committee. So That's what I would say. So in terms of helping Najee and Warren, the answer is no, because I don't think the offense is going to be great and it's going to be a committee. I don't expect either one to be inside my top 25 for redraft. But you have to remember with Najee and Warren, and I don't think this is going to change with Arthur Smith, if one gets hurt, the other will get everything. If one gets hurt, the other will get everything. So they do have that handcuff value that might make me target them over players who have maybe a higher intrinsic value in redraft or even Dynasty. Along those lines, and this is very funny, how many runs up the middle from Freiermuth or Darnell Washington are we going to get this year due to Arthur Smith? Oh, I'm sure he'll find a way. He got Jonnu Smith involved in that way. I'm sure he'll find a way to do that. I did talk about Darnell Washington earlier. I do think he'll get Darnell Washington more involved than he was as a rookie. But I think we're going to be pulling our hair out. And I think especially Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are not going to like Arthur Smith, especially George Pickens, who doesn't like blocking and complains about not getting the ball. So imagine if Arthur Smith has his quotes about Drake London and then applies them to George Pickens. That's not going to work. So yeah, I think it'll be more than we want and we'll be frustrated. But anyway, if you like the video, as I always say, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Really helps our channel grow. We're 60 subscribers away from 2,500. I was hoping to hit that goal before the Super Bowl. Looking unlikely, but still 10 days to get there. So I appreciate everyone's support. Otherwise, of course, the Patreon, patreon.com, can never point to it, patreon.com/fantasy advice. You can sign up there. You have all my ranks and the ability to ask questions for future shows. But until next time, I want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you all later. Peace out.